Hello! So this evening we are taking a look at the Navion B in Microsoft Flight Simulator. If we go and zoom in on it, you can see the full title of the aircraft on the paint is the Ryan Navion Super 60. So if the body of this aircraft looks at all familiar to you, and it may well do, there's a very good reason for that. The Navion was originally built by North American Aviation, who are most famous for making the Mustang, and you can see the design cues for that around the fuselage and the tail. Obviously the wings are slightly different, the nose is slightly different, but if you imagine this with a huge air scoop underneath, it's going to start looking very, very much like a Mustang, isn't it? Even the shape of the canopy, even though it's a two-person canopy, is reminiscent of the Mustang shape. Anyway, so this is the Ryan Navion Super 260, or the Navion B, as it's also known. You can see the modelling is really, really nice throughout. So if we go and have a close look along the rivets and panel lines, you can see it's really nicely done. The material modelling is very good as well. So yeah, you can see very, very nice modelling of the various parts around the aircraft. Let's have a look up in the wheel wells. So it's, yeah, they haven't really missed much with it, have they? So if we go and jump into the cockpit, so we'll just fly up behind the pilots. They'll probably disappear when we get inside. Oh no, they're staying. That's fine. So the interior is very good as well. You do get a tablet. It just has some basic options to toggle things around the aircraft, that, you know, the various doors and panels. The instruments are basic, but they're well modelled, which is often not the case. And if you go into the interior, looking around, everything's just nicely modelled, really. There's not much you can point at and say, oh, this isn't very good. Okay, so let's get away from the drone camera. Go back to the aircraft. We're at Kern Valley, by the way. So let's have a look around the aeroplane and see what we need to do to get this thing fired up. So I'll just pop the yoke off for the moment so we can see the various switches and levers. So we're going to go and turn the battery on first, and then turn the beacon light on. We'll turn the nav light on as well while we're at it. And down on the floor you've got the fuel selector. You've got hydraulics here. We won't need that until the engine's running. Won't need pitot heat just yet. So we're going to put the mixture to rich with my controls. Throttle slightly in, make sure the parking brake is on, and magnetos to both, and then start. Okay, so we've got RPM over here. We're ticking over about 1000 RPM. Let's put it back down to 1000. Just leave it there while it's warming up. Okay, so now the engine is running. We can turn on the alternator, we can turn on the avionics, we can turn on the radios, put the transponder onto standby, just waiting for the GPS to boot up. We've got a 530 and a 430. It's a bit spoilt. And then we'll press B to shortcut calibrating the altimeter. So yeah, as I noticed, or as I commented, there's various things you can switch on and off, including some of the configuration of the window designs. So if you notice on the side, there's like a window divider there. If we go and click on where it says window divider, the actual 3D model will change, and we get rid of the supports. So let's put that back on. The same is true of the windshield, so you can switch out the windshield for one that doesn't have a central pillar, which is quite cool. And you can put it back in again, which will do. You've got all sorts of things like tie downs and chocks. You can open all the doors, as I said, around the aircraft. It's really quite nicely done. Also in here there are some checklists which are very small, but it's useful to have them there. Or we can just switch this off. And I think we can click and put that down now out of the way. Okay, so GPS has booted up. Let's just align it. So we've got cowl flaps as well. We can open them. If we go and look outside, you can see them there. They don't open very much, but I guess it does make an appreciable difference to the engine. So while it's sat here, let's rev it up and see what it sounds like. Sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Okay, so GPS is up and running. Shall we go flying? So I'm just going to center the view up then, and then turn the head tracking on and center the head tracking and come off the parking brake, and we'll taxi out to the runway at Kern Valley. Now, have I gone and accidentally put the tie downs on? No, I haven't. Just took a while to get it moving. Oh hello, we got a bit of a glitch going on there with that aircraft. I've noticed that aircraft does that before. It's a bit of a shame. This part of the world's absolutely beautiful, isn't it? So this is just south of the San Francisco Bay, Kern Valley. It's on the edge of the Sequoia National Forest. This is a freeware piece of scenery, by the way, for Kern Valley. You can get from flightsim.to or flightsim.to. It's really nicely done. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that it does have flaps. You have to pull out the hydraulic plunger there to enable the hydraulics, and then you can use the flaps. You can hear them obviously moving there. So it's going to roll down to the runway. I think there's a small amount of crosswind, but nothing worth worrying about today. You can see the windsock is hanging pretty limply next to the runway over there. Better look where I'm going. Okay, having not flown this before, I'm going to go for the full runway, so we're not going to go for the intersection. I have no idea how quick I need to be going. Shouldn't need flaps for takeoff. So interestingly, this aircraft does have a full autopilot, and it's a modern or fairly modern for its era autopilot. So North American became Ryan, who then became Navion, and then Navion went through several name changes. They kept going broke. Okay, let's go for it. So RPM is over there. I don't want to overstress it too much. You can really overstress it. So we're going to go full throttle just to see what the performance is like for a short time. So we're coming up through 80 knots. Oh, it's miles an hour, sorry, 80 miles an hour. So it came off the ground fairly easily. So gear up. Let's have a look at that happening. It's absolutely rock steady in the air. Mind you, it's a very still day. Shout goodbye to the coffee shop at Kern Valley. It's a nice looking aeroplane, isn't it? The nose is a bit odd, but I'm proud of it. Okay, so visibility is quite restricted because it's got this low roof and this panel that you can kind of squeeze your head towards to look around. Okay, let's get back off the throttle a little bit, back to 75%. I think this is Lake Isabel, next to Kern Valley. Not sure if I've got LittleNavMap running. No, I haven't, so I can't confirm that. Okay, so we'll continue gaining some height and we'll do a basic stall test with the aeroplane. It's very stable, it's very, very easy to fly. So I'm just looking to see if this has any red markings on the manifold pressure. It doesn't. So we can always pull back the propeller now. A little bit too much. Oh, it's very, very twitchy on the propeller control. There we go. Okay, we'll circle round over the lake. What about 1500 feet per minute on the vertical speed? Now it's happier, it seems to be happier at least in a turn at 1000 feet per minute. So we'll straighten up over the lake. Okay, let's lift the nose and see how it behaves in the stall. Hold it level. So we're 20 degrees nose up. Feeding in more and more backstick as the speed comes off. Gives the stall warning. And we're running out of elevator and it's dropping the left wing, but it's very, very docile. I'm holding the aileron, sorry, the elevators in. There we go. So it didn't spin, is the takeaway. It seems to be very, very stable. Based on what I've seen, I don't think it will spin. Whether that's accurate is another story, but... Okay. Let's open the propeller up again and see how fast it goes in a straight line. I mean, it looks the part, doesn't it? We should be able to close the cowl flap now, by the way. So if we drop the nose, get it level, flying back towards Kernville and Kern Valley. See, there's the airfield down there. So yeah, it's going to come out around about 180, 190 knots in a straight line. What about performance then? Although it's not, I don't think there's any sign anywhere saying we can't do any aerobatics. So let's pull it up into a vertical climb and see what happens. It's going to drop the left wing. So let's see if what happens if we kick it in. No, it's not. It won't spin, look. Will not spin. So my suspicions were correct. Okay, so where's the airfield? We'll come back in past the airfield, do a touch and go maybe, or an approach. We'll see how we go. So maybe we'll have a loop through these hills at low level just to see how it handles. Let's see if we can that's better. I think that Amazon van is lost. We'll put my head through the side of the cockpit there. So we'll head for the hilltop as our turning point to come back in towards the airfield. So there's the parking area where we started off from. Coffee shop and the hangar. That's the campground. So we just crest the top of this hill and then turn back in towards the airfield. We'll do a touch and go on the first pass and then loop back around for a proper approach. So this is really exploratory, having not landed it before. Losing some speed as we turn. Wheels down will assist with that. We're a little bit fast to be putting the flaps down, but it should be fine. So with full flaps, it actually becomes a bit of a brick. It doesn't really fly very well with the flaps. It needs the thrust over the flaps. I've had to give it perhaps 70% throttle to maintain 60 knots, even in a descent, which is quite a surprise. Now it's in ground effect, I guess, from... Let's just have a look outside. It's sitting just off the ground. Yeah, look at the size of the flaps. It's sitting on a cushion of air at about 65 knots. Just going to miss the bushes, go full throttle. So the flaps are actually very, very draggy. I'm lifting the flaps now, and you can see the speed comes on immediately as soon as you lift the flaps. So the flaps actually cause more drag than the aircraft has thrust, so you need to be careful. It's very much landing it on the numbers, really, you know, following a procedure. You can't just wander around with the flaps down because you'll end up putting the aeroplane in a tree somewhere. Okay, so now we know how it behaves. We've got a bit more chance this time of coming down sensibly. I'm really impressed with this. I really am. So gear down, getting towards the flaps region of the envelope. It does sink like a brick when you put the full flaps out. I'm at 50% throttle to maintain 70 knots. That's crazy, isn't it? In a steep descent. Idle, and we touch down. Not quite on the centre line, but I was more worried about the stall klaxon kicking in. Okay, so flaps can come up. It's very cool, isn't it? Makes lots of noises rolling along. So wheel brakes, they're quite strong. And let's taxi back up to the coffee shop. Go and tell our tales of daring do. Not before we've had a face-off with a van though, hey? A flight and flight simulator wouldn't be complete without a face-off with a van. Maybe we'll be nice this time and go round onto the grass. If only the airport vehicles were as considerate as us, hey? It's a little bit uphill here, so I'm just opening the engine slightly. What's in the hangar today? Should we just slow down and be a bit nosy? Looks like a steerman. What else have we got here? There's a Kodiak and a Bulldog. And I'm not 100% sure which Piper that is. I'm trying to get as close as possible to the coffee shop. So if I park over the top of these tie downs. Okay, so parking brake on, mixture cut off, and we just did the whole flight without the strobes on, but there wasn't anybody around, was there? So radio can come off, nav lights can come off, beacon light can come off, avionics off, alternator off, and battery can come off. Fuel shut off, and we're good to go. Now I don't think the body opens. I don't think they've actually done that. So this is here, unless you have to click this first. I'm not sure. Let's have a quick look at this. Is there something obvious I'm missing here? Ah! Well, we have unlocked it, but is there another fastener somewhere then? Let's have a look around the back. Something else for somebody else to find another day, I guess. I'm guessing that the whole assembly should slide back, if you know how to do it. Not the way I'm doing it, obviously. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. That was the Navion B in Microsoft Flight Simulator. I really like it. I mean, it's got autopilot, it's got radio navigation kit, it's got everything you basically need to do little GA flights, and it's quite nippy, it's quite easy to fly, it's very stable. So yeah, it's a good one. If you want to go looking for it online, the developer appears in the tablet. I'm going to cheat because I can't remember the name. They are Hangar Studios 713, the Ryan Navion B. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. I'll see you again soon.